Hi, Tony.
Hi, Nancy. How you doing, my old friend?
I am happy to be alive. Can you believe my twins just turned 16?
Wow. I'll tell you what, it's time just keeps marching on.
How
Uh,
dare it?
how dare it? Yeah, but you don't seem affected by it. You're as lovely as the first time I met you.
Thank you. And I'm glad you're not wearing your glasses.
Uh, yeah, I lost them. Congratulations on Crimefeed. I have to ask you what brings America to crime stories?
That's a very interesting question. I believe you've heard of Cain and Abel. That happened back in Genesis, and we're still talking about it.
Um,
I think that as many people say, the attraction to crime is as old as the story of man and woman. I
hmm,
think innately we want justice. We want what is right. Whether you realize it or not, there's that voice inside of you. I call it your conscience.
hmm,
You want the right thing to happen. And not only do I want bad guys to be punished, I want them off the streets so they can't prey on another innocent victim. A couple of weeks ago, I went to the Hugo Black Federal Courthouse in Birmingham, and I saw Jorn Vandersloot, the Aruban judge's son, finally admit to Natalie Holloway's mother that he killed Natalie. Of course, we've known that since about day 3. But to hear him say it and agree to it in court was something I will never forget. And I loved it when Beth Holloway turned around and went, Jorn Vandersloot, you look like hell. I don't
hmm.
think you're going to make it. She was right. He did look like hell. Um, Finally, an answer to that, an official answer. Now I'd like to see him prosecuted for murder. Of course, he's doing time for another murder in Peru right now. But that said, seeing cases resolved, I know as a crime victim myself that there is no such thing as closure
Yeah.
because violent crime in your life changes you forever. It changed who I am. After my fiance was murdered, I thought I would never be a wife or a mother. And it took me over 2 decades before I finally married. And because I'd waited so long, I almost died in childbirth. So that's one of the effects Keith's murder had on me. Dealing with crime victims and their families is my mission. Helping them is my mission. Giving them a voice on a national platform is my mission. Many of these cases people may never have heard of, while many of them are famous, like Natalie's.
Yeah.
I'm so proud to be part of it at Investigation Discovery on Crimefeed.
Yeah, the Holloway case is a great example because it took 20 years, to get the truth out of this guy. And crime fans, in lack of anything else to call them, crime fans have kept on this. And it's really, it's great to bring this to the public because the public doesn't forget, and the police sometimes do.
Well, I think you're right. The public doesn't forget. We don't forget. And I don't think police necessarily forget, but I remember as a felony prosecutor in inner city Atlanta for a decade,
Mm.
every week I would get about 100 new felony cases. I didn't forget about the other ones, but I had to deal with the new ones. I had to investigate them. I had to find out the truth for myself, not just read a police report. And I had to bring that person to justice as best as I could. So I don't necessarily know that the police forget, but I think they're inundated, overwhelmed with an onslaught of cases.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sometimes they do forget, but many times they're just trying to keep their nose above the water.
Your show is a little bit, how can I put it? It's a little bit different than other crime shows because you've got other experts on there with you. You got a private investigator. Tell me about putting this show together.
Well, I think it's amazing. And it's not because of me, it's because of what Investigation Discovery has done. My now friends, Derek Levasseur is a former cop turned PI. He sees the world from that point of view. Then Mara Campo is this beautiful investigative journalist. She's a reporter. She sees things from her point of view. And then there's me. And let me tell you something, we're not reading a script. We are speaking to principals in cases, investigators, medical examiners, lawyers that have an expertise, and we are ferreting out what we believe to be the truth because I want the truth. I'm not letting go of these cases until there's justice. And we have the opportunity, the blessing to us to be able to go across our country and find cases. Again, some of them from the headlines, some nobody's heard of.
Yeah. I think this show is different than other shows that you've been a part of because you do have that triad of experts.
They're wonderful. And everybody has their own perspective. They're not necessarily coming at it from my legal point of view. I see things one way, and that is it evidence? Is it probative that I can bring into court? If it's not, don't care. When you investigate a case, you look at every nuance, everything, whether it can come into court or not. But when it comes down to the brass tacks, I look for, is this probative evidence that I can introduce to court? If not, don't bother me with that. See, they see it from a different way. And again, we are covering cases that need a spotlight, that need justice. From Shanquilla's case, she died in that luxury resort in Mexico, to Texas, where a so-called glam yoga instructor is on trial for gunning down her love rival, an up-and-coming star dirt cyclist, Mariah Wilson, just 25 years old. Why? Because Wilson had a hamburger with the yoga instructor's boyfriend. Really? And now she's dead. So we're piecing that together. She's on trial, Caitlin Armstrong, in a Texas courtroom. And we are waiting for the outcome of that trial.
When you're looking at cases, how do you decide which case is going to hit the show?
Really interesting that you asked that. Much the same way as when I would have to sift through literally hundreds of cases when taking them to a trial calendar. In one trial calendar, at max, for 2 weeks, max, I could try 3 cases. So which ones would they be? The ones that are right, number one, that are ready to go forward. For instance, do I have a suspect? Do I have a location? Do I have a case that needs justice? Or is this a case that's already been handled? Do I think this case is going to be okay without our help? Maybe, maybe not. Is this a case that has a significant backdrop in that it stands for something? For instance, last month was Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we followed suit and brought forth cases where women, and it is typically women, that are battered, beaten, and murdered as part of a domestic violence scenario. So those cases stood for something bigger than just the indictment. So we take cases for a myriad of reasons, but trust me, each one of those reasons is important.
Have you ever been just totally surprised at the outcome of a case?
Oh, yes. Yes. Do I have to say top mom, Casey Anthony?
Oh, yeah.
She murdered Haley, but she walked free. Do I have to say O.J. Simpson, for Pete's sake? I guess I do. Yes, I was stunned that Simpson walked free. Robert Blake, stunned. I couldn't believe it. And many others. Yeah, I'm often surprised.
And in our final moments, thank you so much for your time. I just adore talking with you, and I could talk to you for 2 hours.
Thank you.
What do you think audiences are going to take away when they discover Crimefeed on investigation discovery?
Well, for one thing, they will learn that a layperson, a civilian, can make a difference. Do you remember the Gabby Petito case?
Oh, yeah.
If it
was here in Utah.
Yeah. If it had not been for a traveler and his wife, they were out and they had been watching and listening to the stories about Gabby Petito, and they saw her white Ford Transit parked out in the middle of nowhere. And they think, wow, okay, that's not right. And they call in the sighting. And then after a massive search for Gabby, her body is found in dispersed camping. I'm a big camper and RVer, and we take our children all across the country camping and to RV parks. Last year, we went all the way from Atlanta to the Grand Tetons. Had a great time. But that said, dispersed camping, and I've done it, you're not near a porta potty, you're not near a hookup, water. Nothing like that. You're literally out in the middle of the wilderness. If it had not been for them, a layperson, a civilian, we may never have found Gabby's body or learned what happened to her. 3 more weeks and her remains would have been scattered to the four winds.
Gosh, yeah.
But they made a difference, and everyone can.
Yeah. I think people need to know to keep vigilant. And if they see something, report it. Just that simple.
That's simple. And hey, you may be wrong, but what if you're right?
Yeah, what if you're right? In our final moments we have, I also want to just comment on what a great sense of humor you have about yourself too, because I know that there's a lot of lawyer TV shows that use a kind of a Nancy Grace character and all that, but it's got to be a lot of fun to be poked fun at.
Actually, it's a real honor. They could pick anybody to make fun of, but they picked me. So I feel really good about that. I really loved, I've loved all of them. I love the Gracie character in Boston Legal
Yeah.
that, by the way, was having an affair with Captain Kirk. I'm not going to comment on whether that's true or false, but that's not one. And I love Gone Girl. That was hilarious. But so, yes, I take it all in good nature. And if it ever gets too close to the quick, that's my problem. Maybe
There
there's
you go.
a grain of truth in that.
Nancy Grace, I adore you and thank you so much for your time.
Gosh, you know what? Thank you for saying that. And I just want to tell you something. My twins just turned 16. I'm teaching them to drive. Whoever thought I could have something that beautiful in my life?
Wow. I'm so proud of you and happy for you too. You take care.
I'll see you on Crimefeed Wednesday night, 11, 10 Central.
Bye bye, Nancy.
Bye, dear.